Something that you're considering flirting with, or were you just playing around with it yesterday?
I mean, it's honestly, it wasn't that hard. I'm sure people are like, oh, it didn't look like they should lower the rims, da-da-da. I mean, like, Dom and I are dunking. Like, I didn't exert that much effort to get up there. I honestly just haven't tried to dunk since hurting my knee, just because I've kind of always thought 2 points are 2 points. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of shocked myself, and Dom and Lisa, like I said earlier, and our player development guy, too. It's like
Viewers who had tuned in casually found themselves staying longer than planned, while others who hadn't even intended to watch basketball suddenly felt like they were missing out. The numbers reflected that shift immediately. Engagement surged and viewership climbed, not because of manufactured controversy, but because genuine interest had been sparked. This moment fits perfectly into Caitlin Clark's broader journey. On the court, she spent years reshaping expectations, shattering records with range, confidence, and a creativity that dares defenses to keep up. Off the court, she refuses to shrink herself into something palatable, instead leaning into her competitiveness, intelligence, and love for the game as it actually exists. Her NBC appearance felt like a natural extension of that trajectory, a moment where all those qualities converged, revealing just how incomplete the usual narratives around women's basketball and athlete media roles really are. For decades, sports broadcasting has quietly dictated who can be authoritative, who can analyze, and who is relegated to novelty. Caitlin walked straight through those boundaries, not by calling them out, but by making them irrelevant. When she spoke, the conversation shifted from surface-level storylines to the mechanics and decisions that actually shape games. That shift resonated deeply with fans tired of recycled debates and exaggerated drama masquerading as analysis.
He said there's no more iconic figure in basketball in the women's game right now, or the game in general. So we said, let's have a bigger conversation. And it's just so crazy that it feels like every other sport will just come out and say what it is besides the WNBA. The NBA is not scared to acknowledge that there's no more iconic figure in basketball. Not just the women's game, but possibly the game in general than Caitlin Clark. But we would not hear that in the WNBA.
The irony is that Caitlin didn't have to change who she is. The same qualities that make her unstoppable on the court translated effortlessly to the studio. Her confidence never felt inflated, her insights never rehearsed, and her presence didn't compete with louder voices. She simply listened, responded, and elevated the conversation with the same instincts that let her read defenses and exploit openings in real time. It was basketball IQ on full display, delivered in a tone that was inviting, not intimidating. As clips from the broadcast spread, the praise came from across the sports spectrum. Lifelong basketball fans appreciated the depth and accuracy of her analysis, while casual viewers were impressed by how clearly she made complex ideas feel simple. Caitlin Clark's NBC moment succeeded because it trusted the audience to engage with substance, and the audience rewarded that trust immediately. Ratings, engagement, and social buzz all told the same story. You don't need to shout to keep people invested when you respect their intelligence.